Hope Channel, changing lives.
Hello, good evening, my lovely viewer. We thank God for ushering us into the month of November. Yes, He's been gracious to us. From January, February, down to November. By God's grace, you will end the year peacefully. And I am glad you and I will sail through. Today is another day, and we are watching Love at Home. Love at Home, we discuss everything that concerns a family, being it education, family raising, children, lifestyle, what have you. And so today, we have a very interesting discussion that you and I are going to do. And so, with my immediate right, Mommy, please mention your name.
I'm Eliza Owusu Efri from the Legon Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Mommy, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
That's great. My professor, please tell me your name.
I'm Lydia Abrefinsia.
Okay.
General Manager SD Schools.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you.
My dear, what about you?
My name is Adjoa Takra from Accra Intel SD.
And I have a wonderful guest too on Zoom. Dog, good evening. How are you, dog? Okay, so let's go for a quick commercial break. Good evening, dog.
Good evening.
How are you, please?
I am doing very well.
I hope
What
the
about
weather
you?
is treating you well.
By the grace of God, it's not bad.
Oh,
Winter is about to come, so we are okay.
You need to prepare for that, you know.
Yes.
That's good. Anyway, so dog and my lovely guest, you are welcome. And you watching us, you are welcome. Today, we'll be discussing breaking the ice, career path and choices. Let's go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, you understand what you're going to do more. Stay tuned and do not forget to call in your friends, invite them, parents, students, that they should sit and Love at Home is on their screens. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hi, do you know that alcohol is the most abused drug on earth? Do you also know that smoking a cigarette may take 11 minutes of your lifespan? Do you have someone who is psychologically derailed or mentally ill? Do you know that 1 out of 4 women is abused daily? Do you know that now it's common for children under 12 years to smoke and drink? Do you know someone who is addicted and is struggling to overcome addiction? Then there's a good news. The Wounds of the Heart is bringing you qualified practitioners, personnel who understand certain situations. We meet them in their offices, at their homes, at their comfort zone, and right here on our studios. Make a date with me this and every Wednesday at 4 p.m. right here on Hope Channel.
Hi, good afternoon. You've just contacted Ellis McCarthy Healthy Foods. How may we help you, please?
Hi, anyway, I really need your help. I've heard about you, but what do you do? Like, what do you do?
Ellis McCarthy is an agro and food processing company. We do catering, we do food hampers, we cater for corporate lunch and breakfast.
You know what? You know what? It's exactly what I need. Because at this moment, I really need a food hamper for a bot chair who is sick. I would love you to deliver that to him. And also, I've recruited some staff in here. I need lunch, and then my in-laws are coming this weekend. I will need food. I really need food. So I don't know how do I go about that?
You are at the right place. We would send you a WhatsApp message and then we can conclude that for delivery as soon as possible.
God, thank you. So I'll be on guard. I'm waiting. Please.
Ellis Mukasi, confidently different.
Lovely viewer, thank you so much for staying tuned and staying glued to your set. I am sure you've gone to call in your friends and your family. That time or so, we are on Love at Home. Hey, let me remind you, there's going to be an interesting program. The SDA College of Education, Koforidua Asokore, is celebrating 60 years. 60 good years. And the theme is 60 years of Adventist teacher education in Ghana. Our successes, our challenges, and the way forward. This is under auspices of His Excellency Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and we'll be having series of dignitaries, which includes our own Pastor Titi Okran, Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Aduchum, and then Pastor Professor Robert Osei Bonsu, and the likes. Please do not forget to join this program. It is on the 13th of November, 2022. Please do not forget. Tell your friends. Let's know more about Adventist education. That will help us more. On this note, let me remind you that we are discussing today breaking the ice, career path and choices. I'm sure you are wondering, why this topic? Yes, our JHS people are at home. Our secondary school leavers are also at home. People want to further. People want to go into so many areas, but we are confused. Parents are confused. Students or children are also confused. That is why there is a need for us to discuss this. As we grow, as we decide to go into certain path, what should we be looking out for? This is why today we are discussing this topic. So we see it is not out of place that you are joining. Stay tuned as we go straight into my lovely guest to discuss this very important topic. I'll start with you, Miss Atakra. What do you think you will consider before you choose a particular field or career?
Thank you. So before I choose a particular career or field, I'd consider job satisfaction or interest. Do I have interest in that particular job or career? My strengths, can they help me to be able to succeed or thrive in that career? Also, I look at career progression, and then finally the salary.
Hey, you love money. Compensation is good, right? That is good. Yes, my dear. What about you?
I would talk about understanding myself, getting to know what I like to do best. That is the interest. So once I get to know that, then I would know that what am I supposed to do to get whatever I want to get. So I'd have to research on the programs I have to do in the university. I'd have to go apply or talk to somebody who has knowledge in whatever programs or courses that I want to do in the university. Then that person can help me as to what I'm supposed to do. Yes, please.
Wow. Mommy, you are a professor in your field. So you are the professional here. Tell us, what should we be looking out for before we enter into a certain profession?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would want to use this opportunity to greet your lovely viewers. Thank you for staying tuned.
Thank you.
Yes, it's true. I agree with them. First of all, you need to know your interests, what you would like to do, what you do with ease. After exploring your interest and identifying what you want to do, you also have to consider your strengths and your weaknesses, as she said. If you are able to stand, if you have what it takes to go into that field, then you are good to go. You can also think about the course content.
Okay.
There are some areas that might be a hindrance to you in that area, so you also have to consider what goes into it. And then you can think of the market, the job market. In our day and age, there are a lot of graduates who are unemployed, maybe because they didn't think of what the world needs, what the market needs are. So if you should look at the potential of you being employed after your course, it will also help so that in the end, when you are done, you will readily be employed by a company or somewhere. And then the availability of the program. There are some programs, much as you are interested in it, you might not be able to do it because they are not available, as in what is needed to do it and do it well. We always look at the theory aspect, the reading, but in some areas we need the practical aspects. We need the tools, we need the skills, not just the theory. You should be able to do more to succeed, so that you look at those things that are needed. If they are available, then you can go into it. We can also consider the location. Every institution has its own courses, so that if you are in a particular location and there's no way you can go to where that particular course is, then you can consider changing, or you can also think about whether you really have to go it and move to that particular location. We can also talk about finances.
Okay.
Some are very expensive, and if you are coming from a home which is not ready to support you, at times it becomes very difficult. Although you have the interest, the course is available, it's very marketable. If you don't have the finances to go into it and complete, then you shouldn't also venture.
Wow,
Very important.
this is interesting. Dog, please tell us your view. What do you think we should be looking out for before we decide to pick a particular career path?
So I've noticed that growing up, some people will take a particular course, and as they become, they get to the employable stage, they change jobs. And if you ask them, they will tell you that is not my calling. So I would say that before you decide to go on a career path, think of something that will let you stand out. What we term as self-actualization. What the job or something that when you are doing it, you feel satisfied. Some jobs or careers will never make you the richest person within your community or industry or among your friends, but they may give you the satisfaction and then also the recognition that you want to attain. So it's very, very important that we need to do that. If I use myself as an example, so attending Osei Twitwe Senior High School, I wanted to be a lawyer. I've now ended to be a professor in finance and accounting. My career path has really changed. I'm now pursuing self-actualization. So at the early stage, I'm sure students will be only thinking of some interesting jobs that come with prestige. When we finish school, then we start to think about compensation or money. Which job gives me the highest salary? After God has blessed us with some funds and we're able to meet our basic needs and wants, then we want to seek self-actualization. So I'll put it this way. We can never stop learning until we die. So at every point in time, a career path can change depending on the person's self-actualization pattern. So someone can start in the sciences, and the person will end up in the art industry, being a musician or something else. We have seen a lot of them happening nowadays. So what I would say is that we should just allow our children test their abilities and knowledge when they are going to school. And we only have to give them the guidance and tell them that some jobs comes with some risks that will limit you, and you will not have the option to change in the future. So we need to give them that kind of education. Also, it's important that as we give the conceptual education, technical education is also important. Conceptual education is what we normally see in Ghana, chew and pour and pass. But if we are asked to use our hands to do some works, technical stuff, we find ourselves struggling. So if we have the opportunity to go on a career path, it is better to also add a technical knowledge.
Yeah, Prof, we are going to discuss all that today. I am glad you started talking about it. We are going to discuss all that today. So I'm sure you're going to give us more information about it, and we'll be glad to take them. Let me ask you, Adwoa, what course did you read at the secondary school level?
I read general arts.
General arts. Was it decided by you, or your parents asked you to do, and why?
Okay, so I decided to do general arts in collaboration with my parents. They asked me what I wanted to be in future. Then we researched about it, found out that if I do general arts, it would help me to be able to choose a correct course in university and go on to achieve my aim.
So your parents agreed with the program that you wanted to do?
Yes.
Is it that you pushed it on them or they pushed it on you?
It was an agreement, a mutual agreement between the two of us.
Mami, Eliaza, what about you?
I did business.
You did business, okay.
Yes, please. And my parents were supportive with my choice.
Okay.
I brought to them that...
You sat them down? Or
yes, I sat them down.
Okay.
And I told them that it's business I want to do because I want to do accounting in the university. So Daddy says, okay, if that's what you want to do, then it's fine. So yes.
Did you get the opportunity to visit any counseling, a professional counselor or any counselor session before deciding on what to do?
No, my parents were my counselors.
Okay, that's good. What about you?
We were not a professional counselor per se, but I did see someone for research about what I wanted to do in secondary school. And
you were convinced about what you wanted to do?
Yes, please.
Mrs. Abref, Mrs. Insia, do we have counselors in our secondary schools or in the schools in general?
Yes, we have counselors in our secondary schools. Every secondary school has a counselor. At the basic level, we don't have them in the schools, but then every district education office has a counselor for the district. So normally when they get to the final years, we gather them together and then we move around the schools to talk to them individually, as in at the school level. So we have counselors at the district offices for the basic school, and we have counselors at the senior high schools for them to consult in times of difficulty.
But did you visit any of them?
No.
What about you?
No, I didn't.
Why? They are there for you. You didn't visit any of them. Why? I want to know.
The teachers that they assigned to be the counselors in school, they were something else.
Hey.
They don't have time for you. That's one. And whatever thing you go and discuss with them in school, they come back to the classrooms and then they are giving examples based on whatever that you said.
Discuss with them.
So you're sitting in the classroom and they are talking, you know that it is you. But then you just keep quiet and you're sitting down.
Hey, our counselors, please, our children are talking, oh, please. I am not saying it, oh. So, Mom, it is good they are saying it here.
Yes.
So when you go back, you try to find a way to talk to them. What about you? Why didn't you visit them?
Yes,
because the government is paying them all.
They are there for you.
They don't have time, and the environment in which their office is situated or near it's not really good for pouring out your troubles to them. Yes, and yes, some of the teachers, we don't trust them.
Oh, so there is an issue of trust here.
Yeah.
There is an issue of trust here.
A
So
counselor
in the
must be trusted.
yes, so in the secondary schools, are they real professional counselors?
Yes,
or
they are. They are. They have masters in guidance and counseling, so they are professionals. Except that, you know, we have difficulties in giving them, in getting the ideal situation,
Okay.
so that we find an office somewhere in the school and then we allocate it to the counselor. But ideally, they should be an isolated place where the child should feel free to go to them, tell them all that they need, and then get the assistance from them. But then, we don't have the ideal situation in some schools, but some of them have it. Some schools have it. In our schools, for instance, SDA schools, our pastors who are the chaplains are attached to the counselors. So they go to them and then they talk to them. Apart from the fact that he's a counselor, he can also pray with you, which brings out the confidence that the children are talking about.
Prof, you are not in Ghana. Please give us a picture of what happens in the at the Andrews University. How is the section, the counseling done normally, if you have an experience in that or exposure to that?
So coming here, what I noticed is that the counseling department is part of they have a department that look at development of the students. They give them the counseling, help them to write their CVs, help them to look for job placement for them, internships and the like. And I've noticed that they put posters in each of the notices board around, and sometimes you see them having some flyers and sections, and they will exclusively put there, this section is let me put it, it's secret. And also we here, the counselors are not part of the faculty, so they don't teach. That is, they are not exposed to bringing what has been discussed with the students to the classroom.
Okay.
Whatever is discussed there ends there.
Okay.
Listening to the panel members, I noticed that the counselors are also teachers or faculty members. So they will come back to the classrooms to share them. And here too, there is an exams which is by law. It's called FEPA. That will not allow you to disclose any details about the student to even his parents, unless the student has given consent that you can disclose that information to my parent. In Ghana, we don't have such law, so people are able to do that. If I'm a faculty member or a counselor and I expose an information or give something out, the student has a right to sue me and the university. So in Ghana, I think that is where that is lacking, and the confidence not there for the students to approach the counselors to seek that guidance. We may have to look at that option where we can help the students to find that ability to be able to confidently go to the counselor. In Ghana, we have taken pastors as counselors, but here is different. You need to be professionally, to be someone qualified, and as mentioned, they are professional counselors indeed, but then the legal requirement is allowing them to disclose information. Here, it is not like that.
Wow, thank you very much. Mrs. Nsia, what are some of the signs that I will see in a child or a child will be exhibiting for me to know that this child can do a particular program?
Okay, thank you very much. Parents will need time to be with their children.
Okay.
You need to observe. You need to talk to your child. Have time and talk to the child for him to tell you how he feels, what he wants to do, and at times in the home, the way he relates to the siblings in the home can tell the signs of a good doctor, a good lawyer, from the way he talks, the way he's ready to defend, protect his emotions towards others, you can easily detect that my child will be a pastor. In future, this child would want to be a doctor. And growing up, as Prof said initially, we see the signs from infancy. But as they grow, it changes along the line due to so many factors mentioned earlier. So parents will have to observe, and then we'll have to talk to them, because the children themselves also have their interest, and what they see around them, what goes on around them, determines what they choose to be in future. So by talking to them and by observing them, you can easily get to know who they want to be.
Thank you. So, Prof, if my ward wants to do science, say into medicine, what do you think I should see in him or her?
It should be you may have to find out if he's not afraid of blood. let me start by that. You can never be a medical practitioner and you are afraid of blood. So if your ward is afraid of blood and also exhibit some signs of fear in terms of cut and the rest, it gives you a signal that your ward cannot breathe. Research has confirmed that people who go into the area of medicine are more of the quiet type. I don't know why. So sanguines, that characteristic is hardly seen among doctors.
Okay.
It is just recently that we've noticed that our own OB, the comedian, the medical doctor, so he is, we say he was an outlier, the odd one out.
One out of
thousand.
Yeah.
So these are the characteristics probably you see. In terms of actual things, probably his mental capacity to retain information will become very sharp. And then also the child will have an inquest to find out a lot of things. You see your child be asking you why. You know, it gets to a stage, some cases become okay, they will not ask the question why. But those who are interested in going to the sciences will still pursue the question why, because they really want to understand. And then also, as we know, the field of medicine is something that requires a lot of learning. It will be difficult to find a child who wants to be a medical person also engage in a lot of sports or activities like sports and the rest. They are also the odd ones out. So these are some of the signs you will see. Most of them also depends on the exposure. What we the parents will expose the children to. The kind of televisions that series we will allow them to watch will also have an influence on their the kind of practice they want to be. If you see your child interested in watching a lot of health-related movies, it gives you an indication that he's interested in that field. So these are some of the things that you can pick along the way.
Yes, you said you wanted to do business.
Yes, please.
What do you see in you that you think you can be a chartered accountant one day?
For one, I don't like reading.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
And I'm really interested in like mathematics.
Okay.
That's two. And I really like accounting for things.
Accounting for things.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe mommy sends me to go and buy something, and the little information I have in school on bookkeeping, I'm keeping records of whatever thing that she told me to buy. So that's where everything.
What about you? What area do you want to go to?
I want to go into law.
Law. Why?
Most of the time, people judge based on what they see, but we want to know why you did some things. We want to defend some people. It may seem guilty on first notice or first
hearing.
Just looking at the person, that the person is guilty, but there are actual reasons, deeper reasons. I want to show them out, bring them out. Yes, so I want to go into law. And I also love the thrill that arguing gives me.
Wow. This is interesting, my lovely viewer. I'm surprised. Mrs. Abrefi, what are some of the things that shapes their thoughts as they choose career path?
Yes, as Prof said, it depends on their exposure. As we said earlier, their interest and their exposure. And then those the children come into contact with. For example, if the child has a big sister or a big brother, an uncle who is into engineering, he might have exposed the child to what goes on there, how he works, and some of the things. He might be even coming home with some of the work he does. So with a child being close to such a person, he might just get an interest and want to be like uncle. I would want to be like auntie. Auntie goes to work and I see her on TV reading the news and all that. I would want to go into this. My mom is a teacher. I see her teaching and then I see how she relates with her students. So I want to be a teacher. I also want to teach children. So it depends on where the child is brought up, what he's exposed to, and then with time, how the interest is tilted towards that particular area.
Yeah, Ms. Nsia, let me come to you again. We would want to know if I choose, for example, business, what are some of the career or some of the areas we can go into? Prof, this same question is to you. For example, if you pick somebody who is into agriculture or somebody who is into science, what are some of the areas or which areas can the person enter? Prof, let me come to you, please.
Okay. So for my field, which is business, business has three main areas. You can go into finance, accounting, and now there is also a little bit of economics, which is econometrics. Okay. So under accounting, you can be pursuing a professional career in Ghana. We call the CA, that is a Chartered Professional Accountant. And this gives you the ability to go into the ranks to become, let's say, a finance manager or a senior accountant.
Okay.
There's also the angle of the third one, which is also the econometrics, is now leading into becoming an analyst.
Okay.
So you can become an accountant and you are analyst. Mm-hmm. That is, you analyze situations from both internal and external perspective, and you give solutions. Okay. So you see a lot of consultants coming out of students who have studied business. Under finance, you can rise to become, let's say, a chartered financial analyst. In that case, you are interested in banking, stock exchange, commodity exchange. When we say commodity exchange, trade in oil, gas, there's a whole market on its own.
Wow.
Currency exchange.
Okay.
You can become a currency exchange, like what in Ghana we call the Forex Bureau. But in our field, there's a bigger market worldwide where currencies are traded. Okay. And in just one transaction, you can make $1 billion.
Wow.
So that is where the trend is going. If you try to also, so let me bring it down to Ghana. So Ghana, basically, every business needs an accountant. That is why it becomes very easy to get a job in accounting. But to rise up in the ladder, you will need to have a professional qualification. Okay. So you can have someone who has finished senior high school. If the person is good, he can be employed as a bookkeeper. But that is not the end. You need to move up to the highest level. Nowadays, we have seen a mixture of professions. People who are qualified as accountants, but now pursuing a little bit of agriculture. They are transferring their accounting knowledge into agri. In accounting, there is something we call biological assets.
Okay.
You need to understand, let's say, how farm is developed before you can put a price tag to it. So you move into it. We have also seen some accountants moving into IT.
Yeah.
Currently, the fear is that very soon programs will be developed and accountants will not be needed.
That is
because if I'm able to enter my own figures in the system will do the profit and loss and balance sheet for me. Why do I need an accountant? So accountants are also now fusing in technology so that they become relevant. So you see an accountant or a business person that has gone also into that area. You also remember that when we say business, it includes secretariat.
Yeah.
Now, secretariat has been broadened to the area where we call it administration. In Ghana, the laws of the land now has made it mandatory that if you call yourself an administrator, you have to belong to a legal body called the administrative. I'll check. When I get back, I'll check and give you the full name.
Okay.
You need to be qualified as an administrator, and that profession includes lawyers.
Yeah. It is
accountants.
ICSA. It is ICSA, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators.
It has become a bigger body now,
Yeah.
which requires anybody who wants to call yourself a business person in administration, you need to be a member. Okay. So accounting and finance is not or business, let me put it, not limiting yourself to the debit and credit, but it's now moving into a lot of areas. Wow. You'll be surprised that there are other accountants or finance person who are only trading in medical equipment.
Yeah.
In our world, everything in finance has been seen as a commodity. Where there is shortage, and if I'm able to get that product to that place, I can be able to come out with that trading. So it has become very, very important. So you do business, but you can springboard to a lot of areas where you'll be limited. If you ask me, that an accountant or a business student cannot move there easily is when it comes to the medicine.
Okay.
But we have noticed that those in doing medicine are able to come and do courses in business, and they even excel better than those who are not who started as accountant because of the ability to store things. But the field of accounting is now open, very wide and broad, and every day, every business will need an accountant or an administrator or a business person to give consultancy. So that is why we've seen a lot of students having that interest there.
Wow.
For me, for instance, I'm a teacher, I do business and I do consultancy at the side. How do I do the consultancy? I employ my knowledge from finance, accounting, and other areas and be able to give business advice to industry. So that is what we need. So accounting and business course is now broader, but I will advise that if you want to pursue, try to add technology to it, IT, information technology into that area, and then you'll be fine.
Thank you very much, Prof. My lovely viewer, the discussion is becoming more interesting, but we need to go for a break. So please stay tuned and glued. We'll be right back as we go for a quick commercial break. Thank you.
Hi. Do you know that alcohol is the most abused drug on earth? Do you also know that smoking a cigarette may take 11 minutes of your lifespan? Do you have someone who is psychologically derailed or mentally ill? Do you know that 1 out of 4 women is abused daily? Do you know that now it's common for children under 12 years to smoke and drink? Do you know someone who is addicted and is struggling to overcome addiction? Then there's a good news. The Wounds of the Heart is bringing you qualified practitioners personnel who understand certain situations. We meet them in their offices, at their homes, at their comfort zone, and right here on our studios. Make a date with me this and every Wednesday at 4 p.m. right here on Hope Channel.
Hello, my lovely viewer. Thank you so much. Before we left for break, Prof was discussing or was telling us more about the business areas, what those who are reading businesses, say accounting and the rest, can go into. Now, Mrs. Nsia, we want you to take us through the other areas. For example, those who are reading general arts, those who are reading visual arts, and then the issue of TVET, because the country needs it now.
Yes, thank you very much. TVET is now becoming the order of the day.
What is TVET?
TVET is Technical Vocational Education and Training.
Okay.
So when you talk about technical, it's a field, a broad field on its own. Vocational, we talk about the home economics and those areas, and then put them together is the TVET.
Okay.
Now the government has an agency, a whole agency under Ministry of Education, with a director and then other officers supporting him. We have come to realize that for Ghana to develop very well, we need to look at the area of technical vocational education. So now the government is strengthening those institutions, giving them machines, the technology, all that they would need for hands-on education, so that those areas will no longer be the reading, which is as aspect that we've been doing so far. So when you come to TVET, you can talk about the applied electricity, you can talk about electronics, auto mechanics,
Okay.
you can talk about building construction, metal work, woodwork. You can also talk about all those hands-on that the child will have to do. So that when you go to the TVET services, it is not about book reading, but rather you apply what you read and you develop your skills to do what you are being taught.
Okay.
So mostly when they complete, they come out already baked.
Okay.
They have their skills. All they need is some short industrial attachment and they are good to go. They are able to set up on their own. They are able to make a living out of it. Unlike the arts and the general reading subjects where you come out of secondary school and you can't do much about the work. The TVET is rather exposing you to the market where you can set up and build yourself. So after technical, now the good thing is that you don't end at SS. You can continue and do your master's and even PhD.
Even in the TVET?
Yes.
Okay.
In the TVET, you can continue with your master's and PhD.
Okay.
Teach, work, and earn a living at the same time.
Wow. Wow. That is lovely. Okay, so let's come to those doing the reading courses.
Yes.
What are some of the programs or the professions they can go into?
So those reading those doing the reading programs, as my sister said, she would want to go into law. We can also talk about journalism,
Okay.
where they have to be reading a lot, publishing, museum and archival work, musicology, languages. You can even go into the armed forces or the forces related areas. You can go into religion, the ministry of, you can be a minister, a pastor or whatever. You can also be a teacher. Go into the art industry,
Okay.
where you act.
Okay.
There are so many aspects,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
in the art industry. We have the social sciences and all others that we can talk of. There are a lot of them.
So let me ask you, did you know that there were so many programs under the career that you wanted to choose?
I did.
You did. How did you get that knowledge?
As I mentioned earlier, before I chose general arts as my course in SHS, we did a lot of research on the course General Arts. So I know there are a lot of programs, it's very broad. If you do General Arts in SHS, you have a broad chance of career in university.
What about you?
Daddy is in line with what I want to do because he's doing auditing.
Okay.
So I spoke to him about what I want to do. Then he told me what I'm supposed to do, both in the secondary school and in the university. Yes. So he said, if you want to do the accounting, the best way possible will be the business.
Okay.
So after the business, you enter the university, you do become accountant or BSc accountant. Yes. Then you can be what you want to do. Then afterwards, it's either you charter whilst you are in the university, or after the university, then you start chartering.
Prof, please, I want to come to you again. There is a scenario in Ghana which we have observed over the years. The traditional courses that we used to do during our time, it is either you do BSc or BBA admin, which is accounting option, marketing option, HR option, or all those traditional courses. Now, per what you were discussing earlier on, it looks like the courses are no more these traditional courses. But what else should we broaden our scope into to enable our children get broader views in the areas that they can select from?
Gone are the days when education, especially university education, only focus on career path. But now, based on research and our understanding, we now know that we need to give a wider perspective to students. So you can have a student now doing a lot of minor courses. That is what the university calls it. You may be a BBA student, but you can decide to take a minor course in education. You may be a computer science student and take a minor course in agriculture or in accounting. This is what is now being advised, that education must be on that line. Specialization comes in when you are sure and certain. But at the university level, it is now advised that courses are blended. Currently, there are a lot of courses being developed at the university levels because of the coming in of the TVET, allowing a lot of major programs to allow minor courses to be taken by students. And even this is requiring some of the universities to restructure their educational curriculum, where they load the students, say, before you finish your first degree, you should have done around 136 credits, all of them in one area. But now they are requiring that you may have to go and take a 36 credit from another area. So if you're an accounting student, you may decide to go and take a 36 credits from computer science, or maybe a 36 credits from education, or a 36 credit from agriculture, or a 36 credit in English or language study or something, and that makes you stand out. Coming to Andrews, that is the model. In a class that I handle, someone from medical doing medicine is taking accounting. So I asked him, why are you taking accounting? He says, I want to prepare myself. I can become an administrator in the medical field. And I need to understand the numbers when I'm the boss. So this is what is happening now. We shouldn't limit ourselves to the past. A lot of things are changing, and it requires that we have that dynamism in education. The current courses has to be reviewed, revised, and especially with the coming of TVET. Let me tell you what I notice here. A mechanic here in the US, his daily rate mark in an hour.
Minimum wage, as we call in Ghana.
Yeah, it's 4 times my rate.
Oh, okay.
A mechanic
Okay.
that I took my car to service it, his rate per hour is 4 times my rate as a professor. So this will give you an idea where the world is going. If we want to focus on compensation, it requires that you have that technical ability and that thing. So we should have to champion that thing very fast, especially let's say Valley View University. You may have to look at the courses they run and infuse that TVET program into the courses, especially technology. Those who are working in IT, they don't even need to be in the office. They work remotely and they are paid an hour. And their rates the daily mark rate is higher than what we get as professors. So this is where the trend is going. And it requires that we change the course curriculum. It is good. Being a professor gives you prestige. But at the end of the day, if you cannot feed yourself, it becomes a problem. Yeah. Our advice that parents should not be only looking at the white-collar jobs, that you want forcing your world to be a medical doctor where the person cannot be. If the person's career focuses on a hands-on job, which is a technical skill.
So, Prof, please be winding up for me here on your last point.
Skill, let's focus on that one, because we've noticed that technical skills jobs are now being paid more than the office jobs.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Prof.
Yes,
Mrs. Yang, then you wind up for me.
Yeah. We have the home economics aspect too. There are the food and nutrition, the clothing and textiles, which also broadens the child's ability to set up when he ends. So I would want to advise those at the basic school that as they come out of the basic school and enter into the senior high, they should take advantage of the TVET, which is also the order of the day. Wow. And they'll be able to make it better than their fellow students who will be going to do the science, general arts, and all those traditional courses.
My dear, your last point to your colleagues out there.
Okay, I would want to advise the parents.
Wow, advise us. Parents, please listen.
You notice that some parents actually force their wards to enter into some career in some programs in the university, just because maybe they didn't have the chance to. So you notice that such children, after entering the university, they get the job. It's a well-paying job and everything. They start working, and there's no comfort because they don't like the work. They are just doing it for the money, and they are just doing it to please their parents. And this will make productivity become low. So I advise parents that you have to sit your child down and ask the child what you want to do. Okay. When the child tells you, you find out ways you can help or support. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, enjoy your last word.
We are now going to both parents and children that before we choose a particular career or a course, whether in the university or secondary schools, we should look for career counselors or counseling to guide us better. And keeping in mind what we've learned today, that we should look past the traditional professions that we've built, doing doctor, law. We should look past them. There are new, better professions coming up that will help us in our world now.
Thank you very much, my super wonderful guest today. I had here, or I've been here with Miss Adwoa Atakra, then Mrs. Nsia, then Miss Afriye, then my own Professor Pepra. Thank you so much for staying tuned and joining us for this discussion. And you out there, I appreciate you so much for joining. At least you now know that there are so many programs out there, and we need to help and support our children in making sure that we can do it better in times like this, because the world is moving into an area where we need IT, even in agriculture. How can we support this even in agriculture? There is IT, the study, so that we know the type of soil, what to put out there, when it will germinate and all that, not the traditional way of using cutlasses and all that to it. But as I told you earlier on, please remember that the SDA College of Education at Sokore Koforidua is celebrating 60 years of its existence. Yes, 60 years. And the theme is 60 years of Adventist teacher education in Ghana, our successes, our challenges, and the way forward. This is coming live on the 13th of November 2022. Why don't you join us on that day? And you'll be thrilled about what you know about Adventist education. On this note, I say thank you so much, my lovely viewer. And I love you for always staying tuned and glued. Keep on discussing this in your various homes. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.